So it's day 3 in my Lost Mojo colour therapy series. So today I'm going to be tackling pink, one of my least favourite colours along with purple. But it's one of those colours that, you know, you have to use now and again just to appreciate either how it works together with other shades, and how difficult a colour it can be to get the balance right. So this page I'm combining with Mission Inspiration, the mid-month mini challenge. So I'm just going to dive straight in and gather together all of my pink supplies. Okay, so today I'm on pink, day 3 of this exploration into or through the colour wheel, if you like. So we've got pink. So I've gone through my supplies and pulled out pinks. So I just thought I'd quickly share what I've got in mine. So I've got Dina Wakley acrylic paints in magenta and blushing, so 2 nice pink colours there. I've got Marshmallow from Indigo Blue, a matte acrylic paint. I've also got Rose Red from Reeves Acrylic, which has got a gunked up nozzle. There we go. So that's a nice kind of dark pink, almost bordering on purple. I've also got one here called, from Reeves Acrylic. Now, it's called Flesh, but obviously only for a certain percentage of the population, because obviously there are more different colours of flesh tone than that. Archival Inks, I've got Magenta Hue and I've got Rose Madder. So these are 2 permanent inks. Now, I've deliberately stayed away from Tim Holtz Distress inks because they're not permanent, and I don't like using resources that aren't kind of permanent when dry. So I've also pulled out of my alcohol ink collection, which I don't use very often. I've got Pink Sherbet. There's not a lot of that left. I've got Salmon, which is also a pale pink, obviously salmon pink. But I've also got Pearl, which is a white. But I've also got some white paint from the Dina Wakley range as well, because obviously black and white are non-colours, so it's okay to use those in conjunction with the colours that we're going to be using. Faber-Castell Artist Pit Pens. In the big brush I've got Medium Flesh, again, only for a certain population, part of the population. And I've also got Pink Madder Lake, number 129. The medium flesh one is 131. And in the ordinary sized pit pens, I've got Cinnamon, which is 189. And again, a smaller version of the Pink Madder Lake. So actually those 2 are supposed to be the same. One in the big, one in the small. And for the other resources that I've got, Neo Colour 2s, I've got a salmon and a pink, rose pink. Dina Wakley Scribble Stick, magenta. And in the Distress Crayons, I've got picked raspberry. So that's pretty much all of the mediums that I've got. I've gone through my paper collection and pulled out these 2 sheets. I'm not really sure where this one's from. It's kind of a pinky purpley colour. Oh, there's 2 there. One goes away. Don't need both of those. And one of these is from a Tim Holtz set. That's got a nice kind of pinky colour on there too. So all nice pink shades to play with. So I've got my Diane Reevely large creative journal again, and I've stuck a couple of the pages together just to give it that bit more thickness if we're going to be using quite a lot of medium on here. But today, with it being Saturday, and it's also the midpoint through January, it's also the launch of the first mid-month mini Mission Inspiration challenges. This year I'm using song lyric prompts. It just so happens that the song lyric for January is "Show me the colour of your right hand," taken from the Eurythmics song "You've Placed a Chill in My Heart." So, show me the colour of your right hand. Just happens to be pink. So I thought, I know it may be a little bit of a cliche for some to actually do a pattern with a hand built into it, but cliches are only cliches for those people that have been doing things for a long time. There are a lot of people out there that are still new to art journaling, still getting into it, and may not have done a kind of hand themed art journal page before. I've only ever done one previously, many moons ago, when I first started art journaling. So what I've done this morning is I've traced around my hand onto a piece of card and I've cut it out. So I've got both the positive and the negative. So I can use both in the art journal page in whatever way that I want to. Now I can use that as a stencil, I can use that as a mask, to spritz and spray and drop stuff paint on, that kind of thing, but I need some kind of background down first. So what I'm going to do is, like I did yesterday with the yellow page where I tore all the strips of paper, I'm going to add some bits of paper into the background, pink paper into the background. First of all, I'm going to have a quick look in my washi tape drawer to see if I've got any pinks in there as well, which I have. A couple there. A lot of reds, not a lot of pinks. That's kind of pinky. I think pretty much that's it actually. As far as mostly purples. Oh, hang on, there's some pink hearts there as well, pink and reddish hearts there as well. So I think that's going to be enough to give us a little bit to play with in the background. So let's start layering some bits and pieces. What's that over in the corner? Yeah, there's a nice little pinky one too. That probably looks dark on screen. I might need to just adjust my white balance on the camera. Let me just see if I can do that now. Okay, so I've adjusted the white balance on the camera. I think it's turned everything a little bit yellowy, not quite white. That pink is definitely showing up as more pink now. Or is it showing up as more red? Probably more magenta than anything else. Let's just have another play. No, I think that's probably about as white as I'm going to get it. I can always adjust it and tweak it in post-production. Yeah, that sounds really clever, doesn't it? Anyway, so we've got all these washi tapes, we've got these papers, so let's kind of build up some background using the washi tape and the paper with all these different kind of patterns that we've got. I never realised I had so much pink. Okay. Let's get started. Let's tear up some pieces. Now then, instead of doing squares and rectangles, let's do something different. Let's do triangles. Let's do triangles instead. Something a bit different. So also, when you're struggling with Mojo issues like I have been recently, sometimes it is a good idea to change things up, because if you've been doing things the same for so long, it's a good idea to switch things up, because you sometimes then start thinking about different things or doing things in a different way to what you normally would. And I know this isn't an exact science, I'm just chopping away. So I'm going to carry on cutting up these pieces of paper and get some triangles in different sizes, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got lots of different sized triangle shapes here, all in that pink paper to play with. So I'm just going to now start sticking these down randomly with the washi tape, including the washi tape, not sticking them down with the washi tape, but alongside the washi tape to try and build up some kind of background texture and pattern. So let's get cracking on that. So what we're going to use to glue it down, I think, shall we use a glue stick? Why not? Or would it be easier just to use the matte medium? be quicker to use the matte medium, wouldn't it? Plenty of matte medium there. Okay, so let's move some of these resources to one side, because otherwise I'm going to end up knocking most of them onto the floor with this. So we've got larger triangles there, large-ish, all smaller ones there. So let's shuffle those all to one side, and then let's just put a load of matte medium down onto, look at that, yeah. Obviously I didn't put the lid back on that properly. Okay, let's just slap loads of matte medium down onto there. Let's get messy. And what did I do to that? What did I do with my brush? I've just cleaned it and put it down, so it's just there looking right in front of me. Okay. So, layer of matte medium down onto the page. Far too much. But hey, we're going to go over the top of stuff again anyway, so. Okay, so let's start with some big pieces. I'm going to stick these down random. Just go over the top, trying to kind of keep them fairly even and straight. Okay, I think because this is going to take some time to do, I'm going to put this on fast forward and whiz through. I know the last couple of videos that I've done have been well over 40 minutes. I know some of you don't mind that, but some of you also prefer shorter videos, so let's just try and keep the time down to a minimum on this one. So, cue music. Okay, I think that is probably enough stuff underneath as layers. So we need to get that dry now as quickly as we can. So out comes the heat gun. Now I appreciate this is all shiny and you're not really getting a full, probably the full effect because it is still wet, but once it's dry we'll have a better idea. Okay, so that's definitely enough with the washi tape. So I need to get a base colour of paint down on this. So I'm going to use a lighter colour. So I'm just going to splodge some of that on, and then using a baby wipe I'm going to just rub that and apply that over the page just to get a nice kind of grounding, but you will still see the shapes and the colours of that washi tape showing through. To get in between, make sure we get as much of that on the page. That's it. So we've got a nice kind of base to play with. And you can still see, like I said, the patterns showing through. And of course, the more we rub, the more that comes off. So if we want just to show a little bit more in certain areas, then we can do that too. That'll do for me. So again, now I need to get all that dry, and then I'll be right back. So, I've got a large 12 by 12 Stencil from Prima. This is a Finnabair stencil. Don't know what it's called, but obviously it's a Harlequin one. And it's going to be perfect for adding some darker colour across this page now. So I've got a cosmetic sponge, one of those ones that you use for your nails or whatever. And I need, I've got my little plastic palette somewhere. That will do. Just slide it underneath the mat, underneath my journal. Lift it up. There we go. And I can place some of this Reeves Rose Red, which is more pink than red, and then build that up. I did have some big cosmetic or some big natural sponges somewhere, but I've started to tidy up and clean up, so I don't know where they are, you know, in readiness for moving. So, but hey ho. Right, so I'm going to start adding in some of this colour, this lovely kind of pink colour, to take away some of that blandness of that so-called flesh colour. Now this paint is a little bit translucent, so it will show through the pattern underneath. But I'm going to take it right the way across the page, because there are some areas that are shiny on the page that I don't like. Build up. That's more like it. It's going to give us a nice layer of that pink colour over the top. Darker in some areas, lighter than in others. But like I said, we can go over and add more colour to this if we want to. So let's just lift that up and see what that gives us. Okay, so let's do again at this side. Bring that straight across the middle. I need a little bit more, I think. Not as opaque as I'd like, but it'll do. And like I said, we can build up and build up and build up until we're pretty happy. I don't mind the fact that there's getting some lines on the edges, that's fine. Lighter in some areas, darker in others. There's nought wrong with that. Okay, put that stencil to one side. There we go. Starting, I like the fact that we've got those fragmentations with the triangles, and then we've got the diamond patterns in the background as well, which is kind of mirroring what we've been trying to do. So that's not bad for the first layer. So let's get that dry, and then we can start adding some more. It's all about playing with your colours to get different effects, which is going to spark different ideas for later journals. Okay, so that is pretty dry now. So sticking with that those large stencils, I've got this one, Finnabair again. I've got a funny feeling this is called Mosaic or something of that nature. Now it's kind of florally, which is fine because we're doing pink. We like that. So I'm going to grab this time a natural sponge, and I'm going to use, I think we're going to use a different kind of tone of pink. Let's use the marshmallow, and hopefully that's going to be a bit darker. Let's see what that gives us. So let's just soak up some of that paint, and let's go over the top. That's much more opaque. So I'm liking that already. For me, the page wasn't pink enough. I know it's a weird thing to say, so I'm going to go all over with this, adding in some of that pattern. The idea is to get as much pattern in the background as possible. Different pattern with different shades of pink. So that doesn't actually look too bad. It's not as obtrusive as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be really kind of heavy, but it isn't, because the stencil is actually, there's more of a mask than there is a stencil, so there's more spaces taken up with the actual plastic itself than the actual gaps to let the paint go through, if you know what I mean. You can't really see what the pattern is there, whereas you can, you know, on the actual stencil itself. I don't know whether I'm making sense, but I know what I mean. So build up as much of that pattern as we can manage. That gives us that additional tone of pink in the background. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Cool. Still not particularly happy with the fact that there's not enough of it over here. I wonder, can I just drop that back down about there and go back over again? See where I can see the page gaps here. That's where I think I'm probably going to need a little bit extra. Big hole there, look. Let's see what that gives us. Better. Okay. Let's pop that to one side and get that dried off too, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got all kinds of different pinks in that background. It does look really fragmented. So I'm going to start bringing it together now. Bring in some of these artist pick pens and start adding in some of that colour. Let's just see whether or not that helps to bring the page together. Yeah, it might be a little bit too subtle for this. That's okay. I might just not rub very hard, just leave it as it is. It's sort of working. See, it may be time to actually bring in a different colour tone, like the black that we used before, but maybe a little bit too early, I think. Maybe it's just too subtle. I don't know. Because there was a lot going on in that background. Okay, let's just add some more. When in doubt, add more. Okay, alcohol ink. Oh, I don't even think I can get the lid off that one. I think it's stuck solid, so we'll have to forget those alcohol inks then, because I think the salmon pink's going to be too light, and that darker sherbet pink, I can't get the lid off. I think it's solid. It's set. Yeah, I can't get the lid off. Oh, it's even hurting my hand. Okay, so what else we got? Let's try this picked raspberry. Let's see how that fares. Maybe. Maybe not. It is adding in some colour. But not particularly where we want it. But it is getting pinker and pinker. But I don't like this shiny bit on the corner. That's kind of doing me head in. There we go. That's kind of dulling that down a little bit. Okay, so what else can we do? There's a lot going on in that background. I think it needs toning back a bit, so I think maybe a little bit of paint scraping with a lighter colour. We've got blush in here. Let's try and tone some of this down. Let's see what happens. Okay. Probably not particularly looking that good from a camera point of view, but from my point of view, yeah, that's kind of bringing it together. I think it could do with some white in this background. I'm also going to bring in some of that magenta and see if I can do a little bit of scraping with that too. Just a little. Just mix it up a little. I can tell you now, I'm definitely going to need some white bringing into this now. That is definitely pink. Maybe now a little bit too much. Yeah, there you go. These things happen. Right, okay. Okay, I'm going to stop with that heat gun there because to me this page has got away from me. There's way too much going on. Don't like it. So I'm going to start bringing it back. So I'm going to introduce some white. I'm going to scrape some white into the page because it's just too pink for me. And hopefully this is going to kind of help to balance it a little. And don't worry if you think there's too much white in there now. Because that is what baby wipes are invented for. Never mind babies. Yeah, I'm definitely losing this page. Quick, another baby wipe. It's really started to knock back, but not in the way that I kind of wanted it to. Ah, now we're getting there. That's it. It kind of has and hasn't. It's added a little bit of a white sheen on there, but it's still allowed some of the patterns to still show through. Apologise for my squeaky chair again. It's that shine as well. There's a shine on the page that I don't like. So I think I'm going to have to get rid of that shine before I can do anything else because it's really bugging me. I don't like shiny pages at all. So I'm going to give the entire thing a coat of clear gesso, which is going to get rid of that shine. So I'm going to do that next. First thing I need to do before I do any of that is to dry off where I've just cleaned with the baby wipe. Okay, so I've now gone over both pages with a coat of clear gesso. So as you can see, it's eliminated the shine completely, which I don't like on an art journal page. But also, if you're the type of art journalist that always has problems with the pages sticking together, adding a clear coat of gesso over the top will stop that from happening. Your pages won't stick together if you've gessoed, particularly in that area of the crease of your art journal, because it just takes away that kind of sticky shininess that sometimes you get with acrylic paint. So if I just go back to the previous page, now see how this has started to pull away already. These pages have actually stuck together because I haven't gone over this page with clear gesso. When it's really heavy with paint, you know, sometimes you need that to stop the pages from sticking together. Okay, so all that to one side now. Looking at this page, I don't like it. because I think there's just too much going on and I need to start breaking this up with other stenciling. So I need a smaller stencil or a smaller kind of pattern, maybe bubble wrap, that's going to help just kind of break this up a little bit. So I've got some bubble wrap here. Let me just cut a piece off. And I'm going to start to introduce some white into the page now. Okay, got my brush. Let's just dry that off. Bit of white paint. And I'm just going to start to introduce some of that into the page, just to kind of help break it up a little. Too much pink. Definitely too much pink. I do have larger bubble wrap. That's got larger dots on it, but don't particularly want too large. It just needs to have that balance of it breaking, just having the pink broken up by a little bit. And my white is nearly run out. Luckily I have a new one. A recent trip to Art from the Heart solved that problem for me. There we go. It's like having a plaster, you just apply it down and then rip it off really quickly. Yeah, that's starting to do it for me now. Just strange how just too much of one colour shade can sometimes just not make it work for you. But that has. Okay, so too much pink for me then is not aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't do it for me. So what I need to do now is I need to start introducing some more. So what I want to do is introduce some circles, just in small circles. What have we got? Two different sizes there, that'll do. Where's that mat? Okay, let's bring that back in. Let's get some more white paint down. Okay, so this is a piece of an old light fitting. Okay, so that's that. And this is from an old drawer. Let's get a bit more paint. That'll do. So we've got some nice kind of geometrics in there. We've got triangles building up, but we've also got circles now with the bubble wrap. Which is good. So we've got those two kind of patterns coming through. Right, let's get rid of those two out of the way. There. Starting to come back to me now. Starting to come back. Right. Let's get that dry. I'll have a bit of a tidy up and then I'll be back. Okay, so the page is now dry. All that white is dry. And I have to say, this has possibly been one of the most difficult art journal pages that I've done in a long time. I've really struggled with this. That's probably the colour that's done it. Pink is not one of our favourite colours, along with purple. And I find it really, really difficult trying to get it to work unless I introduce other colours into it too to kind of help balance it out. Now on the colour wheel, if you go to kind of red, the opposite colour is green, and I've tried just to stick with the one shade, and it's even if you go across you know, to kind of like red violet, you're still kind of stuck, and you can't really go towards the reds, the oranges, because that just doesn't work. It really just doesn't work. It's a really difficult colour to work with. Anyway, so enough of me moaning. So I need to reintroduce then the hand into this. So what I think I'm going to do is, because it's the right hand, that's my right hand there. Obviously I have adjusted for the ring. I think I'm going to use that as a kind of mask. So what I need to do is to find my non-permanent tape runner. As if I've borrowed it again, because it disappears quickly and often. Let's have a look. Glue. No, it's borrowed it again. It's always the case. I find it and then it disappears within 5 minutes. Thought I had it. Oh, it's there, look, right in front of me. I put all my pink stuff on top of it. Okay, so this is a non-permanent, a repositionable tape runner. So I'm going to run just down the fingers, like so, and then just down the hand and along the bottom, just so it's going to hold it in place. So I'm going to use this as a kind of mask. So just push that down, and then I'm going to go over the top of this, which is going to leave that pink behind. So what I need to go over with is obviously a darker colour. So I'm going to have a look to see whether this magenta hue is going to work to create that outline. If it doesn't, it doesn't, it's fine. It'll just add. I need another blending foam, don't I? There we go. Yeah, I'm kind of resigned for this page not to work when I'm done, but we'll see if I just quickly go around the outside. I might need to introduce a little bit of brown. Let me just lift that finger up and see whether or not it's... No, it's not created as much contrast as I thought it would do. That's okay. Ish, no problem. So what we'll do instead is I'm going to have to introduce another colour. Now, obviously, I don't want to use a colour, so I'm going to use black or grey. Grey, probably. So that's the watering can. Because grey and black, obviously, non-colours. So we're allowed to get away with that. Let's start dulling this down. I don't want to use black, because I think black is going to be too stark. But to create this kind of shadow around the hand, I think it will work. It might be a little bit too subtle. I may have to enhance it. It may take a while to do. So if it does, then I shall probably put some music on and come back when I'm done. Okay, the grey's not working, so I'm going to have to use black. I didn't want to, but looks like I'm not going to have much choice if I want any kind of high contrast on this project at all. So yeah, it's going to have to be black to create that kind of shadow around the hand. Okay, back with the music. Okay, so I've gone round the hand with the black now, so time to peel off. I think pink is one of those colours that's really, really difficult to work with. For me anyway. And I suppose it's because I'm frightened about getting it wrong. But you know, it's one of them things. Okay, so now we've got that, I've now got this side. So if I bring my taper on it to there and just go down the outside, do the fingers, I've just run out. Oh no! Disaster. Oh, I suppose I'll have to just manage, won't I? So let's place this one down here. Right, and instead, what I'll do is I'm going to use black paint. So I'm going to use Dina Wakeley, and I'll use the sponge. So we've got black in the lid. And then I'm going to go around the inside like this. And I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, what's he doing? Trust me. This is the page of two halves. Okay, so now little baby wipe, and I'm just going to very subtly go over there we go. Okay, nearly there. So the black hand is now dry, so I just want to finish off with a border. So I'm just going to create just a wiggly border to go all the way around the page, and this just helps just to reinforce the black. I know I did black yesterday as a border, but you know, you could add stamping, but to be honest, I don't really want to do anything too intricate. That's going to take away from the actual page itself. It was a very difficult page for me to do this, but you know, it's all about growth, isn't it? It's all about trying to get your mojo back. Or it's on me trying to get my mojo back. So, you know, sometimes we have to go outside our comfort zones just so we know where we're comfortable and where we're not. So it may be a case of, you know, when you've lost your mojo, stay within your comfort zone, because sometimes it can backfire and make you think, you know, well, that's it, can't do any more. But I don't know what the answer is. Okay, so I just need to add my wordage, so I just need to print that off quickly from the computer and I'll be right back. Okay, so to match the previous two pages, the yellow page and the red page, I've printed off my wordage on the computer and printed it off on sticker paper. So what I need to do is just go around after I've stuck these down, I think. So let's stick this across the hand. So pink can be pretty and petrifying too, because like I said before, it's one of those colours that's so easy to get wrong, particularly if you don't use it very often. Okay, so I'm just going to go around just using the Pigma Micron. So I'll just add, I don't know if it's going to work, I'm going to have to use that food ball pen, which writes on pretty much anything. Just to make that pop a little bit more. I know I've stuck this down on black already, but just for the sake of consistency, and that'll do, I think. So sign that, and that's it, done for pink. So tomorrow, more familiar territory, we're on to green. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. It's all from me for now. I'm going to go put my feet up and have a cup of tea. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.